Sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's-
thank
that's
you.
great.
Thank you for the background.
Yeah. Hi, welcome.
I got excited. There are people in the room.
It is exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting. Well, I'm sorry I was late, and we can start this meeting. We can call this meeting to order at 2:02 p.m. Welcome to our guests. We're so glad you're here, all of you. And we'll just start the meeting right off with your topic and invite two or more of you to come to this table and talk to us about Neatards Park.
Yes.
You can all pull your chairs up there, or however you'd like to do it.
Yeah, come on up.
Might as well get cozy, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I have to thank Rachel Haggerty.
Yes, Rachel
We've known
Haggerty.
each other for many years, and when she read it, she was like, this is great. And so, thank you for bringing it to the attention of other people.
Wonderful.
I think it's pretty great. I'll
Can I-
there's
can I-
a slideshow
Oh,
presentation.
great. Can I ask you to please introduce yourselves
Yes.
for the record? And you don't have to give your actual address, but just your community.
Okay, my name is Giselle Easton. Hard one to remember. I go by Jay, so that'll make it easy for you. I prefer Jay. I'm the director for the Friends of Neatards Park. And this is Tim Carpenter. And Tim is here as one of the members of the board. Lori Carpenter, a member of the board, and Dusty Trost, a big member in our community and a visionary for what's coming down the pike for Neatards and Oceanside.
So we're Neatards Oceanside, Neatards.
Wonderful. And
And I'm Tracy Blazer. I'm here in support, but I live in Florida.
oh, wow, okay, okay.
And
Well,
pickleball is king there.
okay. Well, welcome.
Yeah, we've recruited people from across the nation
Yeah.
for this.
It has
Wonderful.
broad
Yeah.
support,
That's
right?
great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, all of you. We're so glad that you're here. And to Commissioner Scar's point, it's so exciting for us when people show up. Very often, we're by ourselves, other than, folks who show up remotely. So we're really happy you're here. So jump right in wherever you like.
Well, first I'd like to just mention that the slideshow presentation starts out with the state that our little park is in right now, and it's not pretty. This is the tennis court, and the asphalt has lifted up in so many places and is really a bad location to try to play any kind of a game. You can trip, it's not even safe any longer. And one corner slopes down, and so it would have to be lifted back up. Next slide, please. There's some more of the ground that's been over time worn through. Next. Another one of the same thing. I don't know why I have so many of those. Next. And this is kind of a place where people put stuff like balls and stuff like that when they're playing. I think it could be much prettier than that. Next. This is our little parking area. It just kind of needs some gravel, really.
How old are these photos?
They are from just a few months ago.
Okay, I noticed you had some blue sky.
Blue sky over there in Oceanside occasionally. Next. This is the playground. All there is in the playground is a set of 2 swings. They're not friendly to any small child. They're set up really high for grown-ups. And that is a teeter-totter in the distance, which I don't know that insurance will even cover teeter-totters on playgrounds any longer. I
Haven't
think they're
seen one
against the
forever.
law.
Yeah.
It's wood. The wood is rotten, and a child would, if they played on it, it would either break and they'd fall, or they'd get slivers. Yeah, it needs to be a better playground for children. Next. This is looking down the hill, and it's terraced really nicely down to the bay. And wow, what an opportunity. I'll get to that in a minute. Next. And these are the benches, the only ones that are left. There used to be more, but they rotted and they're gone. Next. And this is our bay. That little boat right there is a boat that several of the ladies in the community take care of. And they diligently plant little flowers in there. It's beautiful.
Just a memorial for
It is.
a local that we lost.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. You guys can jump in anytime. But that is actually our access to the park from the west side. Next. And that's another view. And that little sign in the background is a great sign. One of our community people made that sign. Who made that?
John Lee.
John Lee. Okay. And I don't want it removed from the property, but I think we could spruce it up and maybe put it up by the parking area and put an official Netarts Community Park, like this first slide down at the bottom of the hill. So that you see, a lot of people don't even know there is a park there. There are people in Netarts that didn't know there was a park there. And it's because there's nothing to draw people in. Next. This is a plaque that now down at the bottom, this is kind of our vision for the future. This is a sample of a plaque, but Webb's, the Waterworks and Estuaries Beach and Sea Group have offered to put up 2 educational plaques for us regarding the uniqueness of the bay and what's available there and what's to see, and the uniqueness of the flora and fauna in the area as well.
Very nice.
And so they're gonna do that for us. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
And next. This is just a sample of picnic tables that we could put in on those terraces. If we have one on each step down, and maybe one up by the playground for moms to, you know, have snacks for their kids while they're playing. They come in lots of different colors. Those are powder coated. Of course, they probably have to have concrete and chains to keep people from walking away with them. But we're kind of hoping that you would entertain, if you take on our project, which I hope you do, we're kind of hoping that you could do like a different color up the hill. Each table could be a different color, almost like a rainbow, bringing some color and some excitement into the little park. Next. That's a sample of a place that it's on sale right now. I don't know if it's going to still be on sale very long, but you guys did a fantastic job with the other parks in Tillamook County. Those parks have great facilities. I'm not saying I know how to do any of this. I'm saying this is the research I've done to kind of give people an idea of what we could do. You know, I'm just a retired educator. I'm doing this with the help of these people, and I don't know a whole lot. So next. This is just one little seat. If we had one seat like that for smaller children and for ADA kids, you know, that would be kind of nice instead of those 2 breakneck swings up high. Next. And we thought maybe a little boat theme for the playground. Rockaway has a gorgeous little piratey kind of thing. And since we're right there looking down on the bay, kids could, you know, pretend to be pirates or whatever. Next. And that's a steering wheel for a pirate. Next. And that's a bench. We'd like to put a couple benches in, maybe 2 at the playground and 1 up on the basketball court so people could sit and watch. Next. Is there more? There should be 1 more.
That's all that's in the packet.
I had a second packet. There should be pictures of I have them here. There should be pictures of the tennis court. Initially, it was a tennis court, correct? Okay.
And some people, John and Margaret McCoy, years ago, we're talking about the 60s, that piece of property was there. And what they did is they were avid tennis players, and so they actually got their own money for this court. And they were for years, they played tennis there for years and years, until it was transformed into a basketball court. And basketball court, it's been forever. Just seems like we had tournaments there, and I mean, it's been, a lot of people come to the tournaments. I mean, it was a really, and again, it was like all can't talk. Monetarily, you know, it is all paid for itself.
Self-supporting.
That's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah, so that's.
Yeah, so we have this wonderful park down there that we've all been going to for decades, and we've had basketball tournaments and charity events. There's probably been weddings down there.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's always been locally maintained.
Right.
So, Ernie Taylor right now is cutting the grass. Tim Carpenter and the guys from Edmonton, the fire department, come and blow it off a few times a year, get the moss off. Matt Kelly and his son go down and replace the basketball hoops and the backboards and paint the court, We usually have a thing on the court that says, you break, you fix. We've all been taking care of it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it's been it's a wonderful little spot, but it certainly, for 20 years, we've been talking about wanting to get it up.
Yeah.
And it is fun. Jay has kind of gotten a little bit of energy moving in that direction. And there's been a couple meetings that have taken place, and so we're at the very beginning of trying to figure out how do we pay for this, pass the hat, raise money. But honestly, to do it right, one, it's not our property.
Right.
I think it's county owned.
That was gonna be one of my questions, is I saw the sign on the front of your packet and was wondering,
Yeah.
is this technically Netarts County Park? Or is that
Yes.
pointing to
Yes.
something else?
Yes, it is. Years ago, we approached the county and asked, kind of doing what we're doing right now. And we were told that, we'll carry the insurance on it. You guys do whatever you want to do, but we're not going to give you any money.
Right.
So since then, we've just taken it and ran with it and maintained it and had little fundraisers to buy different things and fix different. The sheriff's work crew came in one time to replace one of the fences that blew down and just different things like that. It's basically just been a community activity thing. And, but it's getting beyond that now. And especially if you start talking about the basketball court, and that's the biggest draw down there, I would say, is a basketball court. You see a lot of people there using the park during the summertime, just stopping and relaxing or playing on the courts, or, the kids on the swing pool. You had one time had a kind of a play structure such as Jay was showing you there, but it didn't meet the ADA requirements, and it was a county park, so it had to be removed, and that's when the swing set got replaced, that play structure, which was kind of sad because it was a really nice play structure, and then we get 2 swings back. And so over the years, we just had PUD dump wood chips there, and somebody come out and spread them out, and just different things like that. But like I say, the basketball court itself really has gotten to the point of, it's gonna take an investment to bring it back up and repair it. Rest of the park is Jay's got her vision for the,
Right.
I like we had it terraced off like that probably 20-some years ago. It used to just be a big hill, and had one of the local excavators come in and donate some time and terrace it off, and just, it's been a big community effort.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's been
Yeah.
pretty fun, and we've had a lot of good barbecues
We've been
and,
maintaining the road.
yeah,
Rich Durbin goes down there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
grades the road.
yeah. The Friends of Netarts Park raised enough money and had him come in and kind of put in some drainage in the road and fix the road up, and we can, been doing it that way. But like I say, now it's gotten to the point where it's gonna take some major investment to
Yeah.
at least get it back up to where it's
The
a
meetings,
viable place.
So can I ask a quick question? Is the Friends Group a formal organization, or is it just an informal community
It's an
group?
informal.
Okay.
yeah.
I have a number of questions, but the first would be, I didn't see any toilet facilities. Are there any there at all?
No,
So it's
Good question.
just the area that's designated.
We just pee in the bay.
I see, well, okay.
It's not too
No
far,
other facilities.
it's not too far from the
You're
boat
on the
launch, so
record
if you
here.
go down and right, hang a right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not far from the boat launch, and the other thing is there's no water there either.
No,
Yeah,
I
that was
see.
always been a topic that we've tried to deal with, and it was,
Is there, are there any lights? Is it illuminated at all in the evening?
there's 2 street lights that the fire district in Netarts and Oceanside pays for the local street lights.
Is there not a water line up and down Park Avenue right now, or is there?
No, there's not one on Park. Our closest water line would be coming off of 131.
That's just right up the hill.
And back to the bathrooms, the public bathroom is, the boat basin is right there. It's just within
Yeah.
walking
That's true.
distance. And it's right there. There's the county bathroom. So it's right there.
It's a wonderful site for a park, and it
It
really
is,
could be a
yeah.
real amenity to our neighborhood. I mean, we've all been using it and enjoying it. But like Tim said, it has gotten to a place where it's probably gonna need pretty good investment. But as far as, I would think a park site goes, I mean, it's terraced, where I don't think that our wishes or wants are terribly huge. A basketball court like this, I don't know if the county does the 9th Street Park where the beautiful glass backboards and.
That would be a city park.
Stadium seats.
Oh, that would be a city park?
That would be a city park on 9th Street.
Jay, the idea was to, if we could,
Yeah.
I don't think it would take a terribly huge investment, although Doug, as you start asking about bathrooms and lighting, I can see how this could expand.
You can spend considerable funds, and I think you're addressing three people who really, really support parks. I used to manage the park system in Washington County many years ago, and Commissioner Bell is the current director of Tillamook County Parks because we have a vacancy, and I'm pretty sure Commissioner Scar favors parks. So
Having raised my daughter here, we
There
knew
you
where
go.
every single park was. And when I travel, to your point about is it tourists or locals, when she was little, we always looked for the park. You needed a break, she needed to get out, and she loved to play places, so absolutely.
You can't always just go to the beach, you know.
No, you
Happy
can't.
Camp or the beach, you know, people would like a place to picnic, keep
Yeah.
clean.
For sure. And
So,
kids
I
love
mean, I
play
think that
structures.
folks in Neatards, maybe I'm speaking for everybody out of turn, but we're pretty simple. I mean, we're not looking for a gold-plated park. We would love to have a nice basketball court that could be converted to pickleball and tennis, and maybe gazebo for people to have some picnics under, a couple picnic benches and play
Yeah.
structure.
We know local, sorry. We know local musicians who'd love to have a little gazebo, have some music in the park, it will increase pride in our community. And it will give people a destination all over the county. I mean, let's go check out Neatards Park. People in Neatards, some of them don't even know the park's there, you know? We need, I think we need a shot in the arm as a community to have pride in our community as far as the park is concerned. There are those of us who go there anyway. I mean, but I wanted to address the basketball court for just a moment. It wouldn't just be a basketball court. The slide that somehow I didn't get to,
I can
Deb,
pass
I
this up to him.
apologize. Could you give that to him? Inside, I measured it all very carefully. That's not the boundaries of the entire court, but that is the line boundaries for the basketball court. Inside that, you can use a different color, and you would have a tennis court, and inside that, here comes the kicker, inside that, you could actually have painted lines for a pickleball court. And there are people out there already talking about, oh, I hope we get this, you know,
Excited.
people who, and the community's growing. When I checked at the beginning of the school year, there were 66 children who rode the bus to Neatards Oceanside. That doesn't count the children who are homeschooled. That doesn't count the children who can drive, and I know there are some of those. I've seen them on the road. But there are
Or the
66 children who ride the bus.
You know, the children that actually come with families on vacation,
Yeah.
which is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's good for the tourists too. And if people are stopping there at the park, they're gonna stop there to shop at the grocery store. They might eat at the restaurants there in town. I think restoring the park or renovating the park would be a huge asset to our community.
You know, when I travel out of town and go to Southern California, or wherever, you know, I stop in these towns and I need a place to put my surfboard together. I don't wanna go on the beach and have all the surfers see what I'm doing, unpacking and looking like an out-of-town.
Tourists.
And I found some really cool parks out there, you know, up in the neighborhoods or somewhere like Neatards Park could be. It just seems like, I mean, Neatards is on the map enough and we have enough visitors to have there's really no other park I can think of unless you're gonna go down to Cape Lookout State Park.
Right.
To go and hang out unless you wanna go on the beach. And it is a shame, with we have kids, when that park was going
It was.
20 years ago, we were having
Yeah.
basketball
Yeah.
tournaments and we were getting
It
big
was-
draws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know how the public-private thing works, but it's not like we're necessarily here hat in hand asking you guys to do everything.
Sure.
I met with a developer today who bought the Cham property behind
Mhm.
Michko's, and he's considering maybe a hotel back there. And he's built parks himself for developments he's done in Washington. And if this is something you would consider, but you needed some help, we could raise money. I mean, from
Yeah.
developers, local people. But I think being that it's not our property, we don't have the expertise. The county is building parks all over the county. They know what they're doing, kind of the specs, what needs to be right. We would love some help. If we can help participate, I don't think that would be an issue. But we need someone who could kind of spearhead it better than just our vision planning that we've done. The basketball court's gonna take some engineering.
Sure.
Right.
You gotta do it right. And so we're lay people. I'm a real estate person. Jay's retired. Tim's out saving people's lives. This is not our forte. But,
And what you see there in the pictures of the basketball court and the terrace off areas, that's probably maybe half of the property. It drops down into the creek and then back up onto the other side. And at one time, there were some trails through there, and Webb's has expressed some interest, not just with the plaques, but also possibilities of what they might be able to do back, down along the creek beds and nature trails or little hikes or something. So what you saw there is just a small portion of the property.
Right. Well, and there's a bench up at the top of the trails. There's also a bridge, and the bridge is so dilapidated. I wouldn't let my granddaughter go across it this last summer. She wanted to, Grandma, what's up there? Well, we'll go to another forest because that bridge doesn't look safe any longer.
What's that trail called? That the bridge is on, do you know?
It's just right there
Yeah,
at the
it just
Neatards
doesn't
Park.
really-
Okay.
I don't think it
Doesn't
has
have a
a
name.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've not found a name for it.
okay.
Well, I would just say that I love the excitement that you're bringing to this, and I absolutely can see the vision that you see. And the county bureaucracy will be something to navigate for us all. I think that's the part that challenges us most of the time when we have amazing community groups that bring forward great ideas. And I will just have to say, with recreational immunity being where it is right now, are you all familiar with what's happening with recreational immunity? When you said there's a trail and a bridge, I went, oh my gosh, we have a trail and a bridge that we haven't closed, right? I was like, so the first thing we have to do, right? Because the first thing we have to do is come out and close the trail, right? So I love the energy, I love the excitement, and I hope we can find a way to do it. And I look forward to the parks perspective, because I think, is it just county land or is it parks land? Do we know, Rachel?
So this is the packet that Jay provided.
Yeah,
And then this is something I put together for you.
Okay.
Which the majority of it is excerpt from her TLT grant application that didn't end
Yeah.
up being submitted. On the back, at the very bottom of the page
yeah,
is what I added, which has all the information I had in the county, in my property records. That just says, how did we get it? We got it in 1959 from Wayne and Rhoda Tucker, who donated the property for a county park. It was at that time dedicated officially as a park and recreation area. So it is dedicated by board order. But I don't believe it's within the county park system as we know it is being managed for a county park, because it sounds like, I would presume, the community was taking such great care of it. And then in 1979, there was an agreement with the Neatards Community Club, which was a nonprofit, to develop a basketball court, picnic tables, and fireplaces, and that's all the records I have. So it sounds like there was an intent to do that, and then other things happened and were developed there, as well as the future basketball courts. So that's all the information I had, but it is county property, it is a county park.
So it's owned fee simple outright in the county.
Received it by donation,
So
but
just,
it is clearly not being managed for a county
Sure.
park, but it is
Right.
in fact dedicated as a county park.
but by virtue of being on the county's books, we have some liability, the
Oh, yeah.
county does, of course. And well, I too admire people, look, grassroots, if there ever was grassroots, you're looking at them right here. But how it'll go through, as Commissioner Scar said, get into the bureaucracy of how you do it. Now, fortunately, the county has the TLT program, which started just about exactly 10 years ago, generating about $1 million a year, was the plan, and now it's up to 8 million, as you well know, and a good share of that, well, that's the second largest funder for our roads, and then the rest goes out, a good share of it goes out through grants, and that's what you just went through that process, as I understand it, and it's always oversubscribed, meaning if there's 400,000 or 500,000, there's $1 million of requests. And so it becomes pretty difficult decisions for the group that does it and then brings it to the board. And we never have enough money to do it all, but it's better than a lot of organizations or counties have, because it's fairly steady income, and it's also restricted to these sorts of things that benefit tourism one way or another. So I would offer some long-range hope, but as was pointed out, to get in and do something immediately, particularly with this particular lawsuit that went in favor of the plaintiff who sued, I think it was the city of Newport. That now has put a damper on all of this, and we're hoping the legislature, which is meeting as we speak, will find a solution for that returns some normalcy, I'll call it, to cities and counties and other property owners. But, so I'm not trying to throw cold water on everything, because I think it's a wonderful idea, as my colleagues do, but I'm not sure that we can do anything this afternoon. But you can talk to the Parks Director, this lady right here.
Can I just add a point of clarification? So, just on the TLT process, so the group prepared a grant application and they submitted it to the county as the property owner to sign.
Oh, I see.
It was never submitted because we had, I don't think you were appointed yet, but you were maybe listening in, on some of those meetings. But because of, the late request and just a lack of a bunch of information, the board decided not to proceed with signing it. So the application didn't get submitted. Additionally, it is county property. So I would never advise that a community group needs to apply through the TLT facilities process to get funding, to then go and administer and do a project on county property.
Good.
If the county wants to put TLT money into this, I would recommend that you allocate dollars that I manage through my piece of the TLT. And not that I'm managing the project, but
I
those
understand,
funds, yeah,
understand.
just like the Barview Jetty improvement, fair projects, et cetera. So just wanted to clarify
Oh,
that.
that's helpful, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for this presentation. It really is, I get your vision. I can picture it, and it's lovely. And we did see this application when you submitted it, and I'm sorry that the timing didn't work out. When we got it, I think it was days before the deadline.
Yes.
And,
I
yeah.
just- I didn't actually totally submit it. I sent it to Nan to peruse, and Nan shared it, I think, with you, didn't she, Rachel? Oh, she shared it with someone, and somehow it got to you.
I
But
got a request to sign it, I think for me
Oh.
the first time as the property owner, but
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah, so if we had just a little more time to work it through county council, because we were grappling with the whole recreational immunity issue. And to be honest with you, all of us were surprised when we got the application, because like you just described, nobody knew we had a park there. So it was news to us. Because it's not in the park system, it isn't part of the listed anywhere with Tillamook County Parks, although that's, a little bit embarrassing because there's the sign. And you've obviously done a marvelous job with it all these years. So bravo to you for keeping it up all these years. I think there are real possibilities here, and like my colleague said, it's just a matter of figuring out how to move it forward and how to consider it. A couple of things that immediately occur to me is that there are grants available there, and in particular, the state is allocating money now for accessibility for recreational features that prioritize access issues. So there are grants available. We have a grant writer on contract. If we can find a grant that makes sense for this park, presumably we could certainly talk about using our grant writer to look for something like that. There are, right now, do you have a need in this park for like a cleanup crew? Do you need that kind of thing?
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do
One
that
per- one,
ourselves.
like,
We have a
Like
lot of people-
Dusty said, a local person keeps the grass mowed, and I
Okay.
think the community club gives them some gas money and stuff for
Okay.
doing that. And
Okay,
When we held the first meeting, I asked people if they would be willing to volunteer. 32 people signed up to volunteer to help maintain the park.
awesome, that's great.
And County Parks does have a garbage can there and come by regularly when they do in the bathrooms at the boat landing and
Right.
pick up the garbage. And
Good,
Yeah.
so
good.
That's taken care of.
That's good. I am currently talking to the South Fork Work Crew. South Fork Prison Work Camp has a crew that goes out and and we contract with them to do big cleanup at the campgrounds, but it sounds like you don't need something like that. I think just a little background for you to know that some years ago, in a budget shortfall year, which seems like it happens regularly, a former Board of County Commissioners told the Parks Department, you guys need to be self-supporting, operate as a business, be self-supporting, because you can't get any more money from the general fund. So none of our tax dollars go to Tillamook County Parks, which is not widely understood. So Tillamook County Parks operates as a business, and they're based on revenue. So we don't have parks like this one. So that's why we're all kind of scratching our heads here, thinking we don't have parks like this one. We have fee-based parks. We have campgrounds where people pay, and boat launches where people pay, and day use areas where people pay. And so that's how we pay for it. So this is a different animal. And to Rachel's point, it's possible, it's possible to, if we were to adopt this park or other parks like it, because we would be setting a precedent for sure. And if we take on this one, for sure that other communities will say, well, hey, what about this park? Which isn't a bad idea, but we would be creating a new system. So I think we absolutely should talk about, do we want to dedicate TLT funding to community parks? I think we should talk about it. I'll be happy to bring it up. I think, we do have TLT funding. Of course, there's always more to spend than what we have, but that doesn't mean we couldn't change our priorities. So I think there is hope here. I think I speak for my colleagues in saying we're interested in figuring out how to make this work, but it isn't something we can sign on to today because we don't have a mechanism in place for how to quickly do that. I live in Nehalem where we have a pickleball court, and that happened through the recreation district, through the North County Recreation District, and it is so popular. There are people out there every single day in all kinds of weather, in the dark. I can't believe how many people use the pickleball court. It's really impressive. And what I think I notice about it is that there's a level of fitness. It really contributes to the healthiness of our community. It's very, very nice. And I love your idea about a multi-use court. It's a great idea. I don't think I've seen this before, but it's a great idea, and why not? So I think you have a bunch of good ideas here. The Tillamook County Parks has tables, not like the metal tables that you showed us, which are pretty, but we have tables. We may have excess tables. We can certainly take a look at that. Like, maybe we can install some tables. Maybe there are some things that we could do sooner rather than later. But I think this is it's a place where we'll need to start the conversation.
So what does the process look like?
From
Christie,
here,
the process
yeah.
look like going forward to get to a place where we might actually could see some traction, or what steps do you guys have to take as commissioners in order to get it?
I was thinking of the
Some momentum
Rockaway
behind it.
model, where we leased it to somebody. Is there a group, I realize you all are an informal group, so it feels like the easiest one, rather than building a whole county structure, is there a formal group? You mentioned the Netarts Community Club. Are they a formal nonprofit?
They are a formal nonprofit. We were at one time a formal nonprofit. I don't know if our number is still valid or not, but we did have a nonprofit tax number, and I know that Netarts Community Group does have one. They've offered to, I spoke to them prior to taking it to anybody else, and they said they would be willing to donate money. So I don't know if they'd be willing to
'Cause I'm
work
trying-
with us on this, I'm sure they would.
Trying to think of a way, because like in Rockaway, there's an area that we leased it long-term to the city of Rockaway, because we own it, but it's inside their city, city boundaries, so.
Lake Lytle, they
Lake
wanted,
Lytle.
they wanted the
Yeah, thank
park,
you.
so we leased it to
We
them
leased it to
because
them.
we own the property, but they
Which-
have a city system.
Right, so if, rather than the county trying to build a system for community parks, is there an organization there that might be willing to be a lead that we might be able to basically have an agreement with, such as the one that was back in 1959, that would allow them to work and go ahead and get funding and do the pieces to manage
So if we were to
this?
lease it to Neatart's Community Park Group or.
If they were a
So-
formal,
Correct, and then, and you think that that would maybe open the door
No,
for
I-
us to be able to access some, probably not TLT funds at that point, but maybe grant money?
there was, I don't know, that would be a Rachel question, but I was thinking if we have to build it as the county, it's probably gonna be a longer term piece of this, if there's an existing organization, but that was just my individual thought, I'm not speaking for the board or for county, obviously, that would have to go through
That would
county
be
council.
a fast track.
I think that's where my brain went to.
Yeah,
My
that's-
brain went to fast tracked. Can we lease it to somebody who then can come to us for TLT and can go to other places for grants and can manage the project and manage the maintenance and all of those things so that we don't have to figure out how at the county to create a new structure for community parks.
Idea?
The only thing preventing us from doing that at this point, to my understanding, is that we don't have the tax number. Is that correct? And we had talked about getting one.
Well,
And is that-
historically, you can tell that how we did it, as Neatar's Park did it before.
Yeah, we just worked under an umbrella of the community club.
Yeah.
They handled our money, they had an account for us, and we just go to them and they would
Right.
sign checks. And then one of the people that was associated with the park was one of the check signers.
Right.
And that's how we did it before. They've expressed, they've wanted to get out of that, when they changed here in the last
Recently,
year or
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Recently, they changed all their officers and stuff.
Yeah.
And they contacted me, cause I was the other signer, and said, how about if we just absorb this account, and when you guys need this much money,
$1,200.
you know,
yeah.
come to us and we'll give it to you. So that's kind of
Yeah.
how we've done it before, but
Mm-hmm.
if we could organize something enough to get our own, you know, nonprofit number and maintain that organization would be my fear, then I think that would be the way for us to go, rather
do
than
too.
trying to lean on somebody else. Because in Neatarts, there's gonna be, you know, the Neatarts Community Club, Webs, maybe. You know, those are about the only two you know, maybe if we could somehow do like the fish hatchery, Whiskey Creek Fish Hatchery, maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
So Rachel, can I ask your thoughts on that as someone who's been at the county a long time and understands all of our mechanisms? I'm great for wild ideas, but I don't always have the county history and grounding.
I mean, there's a couple of paths here I see. I think the most straightforward path, from a logistics standpoint, with a caveat, is it's county property. And a county person we would throw TLT money at it, we'd hire a contractor, and we just go get it done. And it's a county facility, and it would probably be managed through the Parks Department. However, and potentially funding coming out of the Parks Department. However, with current staff workloads,
Yeah.
that's the caveat. I just do not see it rising to the level of anybody being able to work on it, even just hiring a contractor and managing that. It just takes away from other priorities that we're already working on. So with that said, it seems that the most realistic path forward is the path that you just shared. But we had a similar conversation when the Cape Mears Community Association brought an application forward at the same time to create a path that went to a couple benches, and there was a big concern about, future maintenance and liability and who was going to take care of it. And then that didn't move forward for those reasons. So it still feels like that could work here, but I think there just might need to be some more conversations about it. I don't think that they still should not come before the board or through Visit Tillamook Coast for TLT funds, I think they would just come through the budget committee, or they would ask me through the budget process, and we would put it in there, and you guys would decide, if you want to allocate funding to it, so that's kind of my
So
takeaway
if
at this
they-
point.
If they had a nonprofit, they could apply for TLT grants if they had a nonprofit.
They could, but I guess my rationale is, why would we ask them to? It's county property.
Yeah.
It's a county property. I think it just, I mean, we could guide them to do whatever. My personal opinion is, it's county property, it's county project. And to ask a community group who's improving county property for us to go this whole other way, you know, putting applications in, managing grants reports, putting in reimbursement requests, all of that, it's a county project. Parks is probably gonna have to approve designs, or Public Works, et cetera. And that would just probably be a piece of the funding that it sounds like the group is going to be very active in matching. And I think the components of this project, a plus to what you've described for improvements you want to make is they can all be phased. These are, I'm seeing a lot of smaller ticket items that they could peck away at over time instead of a $300,000, maybe the basketball court is, I don't know. But you know, they're not big ticket items. I think you could chip away at them over time. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend they go through Nan's process.
Be more like what the fairgrounds or the Pioneer Museum does, because the
Yes.
county facilities, so they come to us as part of the budget process.
Yeah, or we
instead
do,
of
yeah.
NAN's.
I didn't submit an application for Cape Kiwanda.
Right.
Chris is looking at some improvements on Short Beach Trail. And he was talking to Nan, and I said, no, put that in for the budget process. And I have a request from him to do that, bar review, et cetera.
That makes
As
sense.
far as getting anything done in a
Yeah,
little faster fashion, your idea makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
it puts a lot of the work back on us, we're hoping to put it on your plate, well, now it's back on ours, but that would mean we would go out and get the engineering for the basketball court, and we then come and say, here's the plan. Is that what you're suggesting then? We're going out and doing a lot of the legwork for what we want then? Just maybe leasing the
that
park?
could
We
be,
come to you and say,
yeah.
Here's the budget, here's what we wanna do.
Yeah, in lieu of a
Can you help us with
county,
some
yep,
money for this nonprofit?
Yep.
that we're-
Okay.
Is that what you're suggesting?
It feels like it, yes. I think it would be somewhat uncharted territory in a way, although again, I would look at the Rockaway model as being the closest thing, although they are a city and they have a
Yeah.
parks department, I understand that. But I think the first piece would be, who's the nonprofit, and do we feel confident that that nonprofit is going to be here, be committed, and maintain it before we're willing to say, okay, we're signing on the dotted line, to Rachel's comments about the Cape Mears piece of it. But part of the reason I think we said no to that was also recreational immunity. We just went, we can't build another path right now when we don't have the recreational immunity. So, but there was a question, there is always a question, if we do sign a lease or whatever, who are we leasing to, and is it a viable, long-term a situation, so it doesn't roll back to the county and now we have to take over on something we're not equipped to, and to the point of parks being having to make its own money, right? So then are we building a facility that in the future, if you all decide to move away from NETARTS and there's nobody else who wants to take it on, it becomes ours, right? So are we setting up something, and are we ready to take that on liability and risk-wise? And that's just a conversation we have to have. But it feels like the first thing is, who would the group be, and do we feel confident in them? Probably. Other commissioners? Sorry, I just kind of went
Well,
down.
I would think, what I've heard, if you were to incorporate, and you wouldn't necessarily have to incorporate, but you would get listed through the Secretary of State's office, and then get yourself a federal and state tax ID number. You wouldn't necessarily pay taxes, but you'd have a number. And then you're a bona fide organization, and you file an annual tax return and all that, and, it's a 2-page or whatever. But then you could say, now, would the county consider leasing this to you under some conditions? And that may or may not make sense for the reasons you just heard. It could be that the county's not prepared to take on a contingent liability. Something goes wrong, and like we said, if you folks all moved away or changed and another group didn't want to come in your place, then it reverts to the county under the terms of some lease. And do we want to do that? That's a business risk, it's a political risk, and a financial risk. And so we'd have to look at that. It also sets a precedent. If we did that, then what about the next group that comes in and the group after that? And maybe that's a way forward, but maybe it's not, because as was pointed out, the parks used to be part of the general fund some years back, and then it was separated and now stands on its own, generates X million dollars and funds itself internally. And if you begin to expand beyond that with different characteristics, as was pointed out, that may not be the model that we choose to do for a number of reasons. So what you've done is you've run into a government bureaucracy in so many words, which doesn't make it hopeless. And I always tell people, you have to remember, government is by design process-oriented. And, we represent 27,000 people in this county and other people's money, and so we have to be pretty conservative and thoughtful before we can say, you guys have done the great thing, how can we help? Can Rachel go get the checkbook? It just doesn't work that way, as I'm sure you understand. But, what you've done, I'm absolutely impressed that you came together and said, hey, we got an idea, can you help us make it happen? Well, none of us is going to forget that, but I don't know that it's gonna happen in the next 3 months. It just kind of the way it is.
So
Yeah.
that from a timeline,
Right.
I mean, realistic, we understand this is gonna happen tomorrow, but what would you suggest is the best path forward then for us now? What were the timelines for what maybe you would research and look into?
I would start by
What
getting-
should we do now?
Start by getting your set up with the Secretary of State. You can talk to them, they're open, 8 to 5 or
Start
whatever it
working
is.
on the least possible.
Yes, and then you form a group, put a name on it, and that gives you options to do all kinds of things, not just parks, you can do other things under that name. Open bank accounts and do whatever it is you want to do to help your community. That's probably step one, in my opinion, and that's all you're getting is my opinion. Then you could continue talking and start with Rachel or others, and maybe something would come of it, but I wouldn't offer a whole lot of hope in the very short term, simply because what Commissioner Bell explained, that parks are self-sufficient, and when you begin to mess with that formula, you jeopardize a much bigger system.
Part of what we're looking at is that we have a number of fabulous communities like Neatarts that are not cities. So this was really a city park model, but you don't have a city, and it's county property. So then it becomes complicated, but I don't see how you could charge a fee for people to use this.
I don't think you'd want to.
Right, so, so then the regular funding comes into question, but you've done an amazing job with it so far. But I can see that you need an infusion of something if you're gonna repave a basketball court. That's an investment.
I spoke with to kind of bring it more into perspective, the cost of repairing the basketball court. I spoke with 2 different paving companies. Both came out, both viewed the property, and their bids were only good for 30 days, so they're not valid any longer. But it would probably still be in the same,
Ballpark.
excuse the pun, ballpark. It would be, both of them came in right around 35,000. That did not include replacing the fencing. Because they said in order to do it correctly and level that corner that's sinking, they would have to take out the fences. So just repairing the court and putting down the lines for all 3 uses was right, the mean for that was 35,000.
Is there any benefit, or I'm thinking outside the box here. I mean, is there any benefit if this is a liability or the county maybe can't figure out a way to facilitate this at a time? I mean, would it make any sense to get this off your books and have a local group, nonprofit take it over? Would that give us any more chance to get grants ourselves, or is it better to run it to the county?
It's a racial question in part because it was donated to the county to be a park, and I don't know,
With deed restrictions.
right, how that impacts that ability, but I like the thinking.
So I'd have to look at the deed at that. I think it does say in the deed, and I can look up while we're sitting here. And so if we received property and it has a deed restriction in it, I don't believe we can convey the property with that same deed restriction because it's for a county park. But I'll look further into that, because it's a great concept, and we
Just
do,
wonder if it
yeah,
was privately owned, if you would
Yeah.
open more avenues for us for
Yeah.
potential funding, but I don't know.
I think it would open less, actually.
I think so.
Yeah.
The
My
TLT
biggest concern
especially.
with that would be insurance.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's a question that I think I think you asked what would come next. From my perspective, for us, there's also some risk and liability pieces that we need to talk to county council and probably our insurance company to say. So we're considering into a situation where we would lease this property to a nonprofit Friends of organization who would take responsibility for development, maintenance, et cetera. Can we do that? What are the risks if we do that? What does our insurance say if we do that? Because are we carrying the insurance after we lease it to you, or are you carrying the insurance after we
Yeah.
lease it to you? So some of those pieces, and I think that would be a little bit of a research on our side to determine if this is a viable model for the county, if it is not a city that we're leasing it to.
So comment on the projects and thinking of some other paths forward. In lieu, so regardless of the lease path, I think there's certainly interest from the community, and I would presume interest on the board's part to improve the site. And if there are some very simple, straightforward improvements that can be made, I mean, think of the Nadana Beach light pole.
Oh, yeah.
We paid for it out of TLT, and the community group went and lined up the contractor. I did a contract with them, but somebody else did all the on the groundwork and managed that, really. We could do something like that here in the meantime. So if there were some, I heard fencing or, not getting into playground improvements, but if there were some easy, cheaper, check the box items that we could move forward, I don't think there needs to be a convoluted, I think a lot of this can be very straightforward. Additionally, I'm also saying this because we're coming into budget. So we run on a July to June fiscal year. We're going through the budget process right now. I need to submit budgets March 11th, and I do the TLT budget. If I would pose this to the board, if it's something that we want to recommend to them, to come up with a list of projects, because maybe 10, 15, 20, 30,000 can go a long way in the park and get a bunch of things done that we can just do on the side without me or Parks managing a project per se. That would be something where we could have a contract, or not if it's a $2,000 item, go buy some fencing and, I don't know. So I think if the board was interested in that, the group could come up with a list of priorities. We could discuss it during the TLT discussion during budget hearings, and if anything gets approved July 1, then we could proceed with maybe some smaller items. I don't know if there's really much to do in that regard, but it sounds like there might be.
Benches and tables and gravel.
Certainly there could be.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, so it
Like
might be
all
worth
the
exploring.
functions.
I don't know if you're interested in that, but it might be an idea.
I think it's a great idea. So here's what was going through my mind. If you were to come up with a request and submit it to Rachel for us to review in the budget process, to look at applying some TLT funds, like what if, this is just what's in my mind and you're not limited to this, but what if you ask us to pay for the paving of the basketball court with TLT funds? And then Parks could give you some picnic tables and some benches, which we probably could. And then your group does fundraising for a playground structure, then you're a long way toward your vision.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we have quite a few people in the community who've already offered to give us some financial support.
I think it would also be helpful to see a bulleted list of everything you want to do, just all of it, and then prioritize it by how you would like to proceed with it. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a lengthy document. I'm just thinking of bullets and maybe some estimated costs. Yeah,
And then I'll just email it to you, Rachel?
yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's a benefit to the county in this related to recreational immunity and the fact that this is a currently entirely unmaintained park with a no maintenance plan or any of those things. So if the most dangerous items in the park are the uneven basketball court surface and that trail bridge probably needs to be removed and signed at this point, because it is a county piece of property and we do have a risk related to it. So I think looking at it that way, there is a benefit to the county related to where we sit with recreational immunity and addressing anything we can that is existing and unsafe.
We call the three-point line on the south side of the court, Coffin Corner. It's part of, that's where we shoot our, it's all part of the horse and the basketball game. 3 ball, no eyes from Coffin Corner. So, not to scare you. If caution tape goes up across the mark today,
So-
we were never.
So tomorrow, if there is a sign tomorrow that says closed until further notice, I'm really, really, really sorry.
So earlier, Jay, you said 3 benches and how many picnic tables?
A terrace of what?
I think you said 4 when you were talking.
There's 4
Right,
terraces, yeah.
Yeah, I think you
The
said there were
barn,
like
we were
3
also
terraces
considering
and.
Possibly a small gazebo, so that weddings could be held there. It's a beautiful site, looking over the bay. Music in the park.
It sounds lovely. Maybe that's phase 2.
Well, phase 1, for me, I had it in phases. Rachel was 100% correct. I had it in phases, and the first phase was the basketball court.
Okay.
The ball court, I'm just gonna call it the ball
Yeah,
court. And then phase 2, I had thought that possibly, because I didn't know you guys had benches or picnic tables, so I thought, well, maybe members of the community would donate those. I mean,
They could have a whole stockyard of them too.
yeah, how many do you guys
Yeah,
have in
exactly.
Good
Well,
question, Jay.
I'll tell you
Go to
this.
your warehouse and pick it over.
I'll tell you this, we don't have a lot, but recently we have a couple of benches sitting in the park shop and the guys said, we don't know where to put these. You need to tell us where to put them.
We could use 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
We
really
could,
what basically all we
absolutely.
really need.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the
So,
picnic tables, 2 or 3 benches would be perfect.
yeah, okay. So when we started this conversation, I asked you for the name of that trail. And the reason is because I heard the director of Public Works, he told me when recreational immunity, when all this started to happen, and people were talking about it, he said, I have discovered that we have a trail. I thought he said it was in Oceanside, so maybe it's a different one. He said, I've discovered that we have a trail that has a bridge that's falling, that's not, not good, that's not in good working order, that we didn't even know we had. The county didn't know that that was our trail, or that that was our bridge. We didn't build it, somebody built it.
The tire, it's the
Yeah,
tire
that's
trail.
Is-
different. That's the tire trail.
Yeah, that's the tire
So,
trail.
so that's a different one.
That's in much more
Yeah.
shape than ours.
Okay, well, we had to close it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's signed now, we had
Yeah,
to
it is
close it.
signed now.
And I think we still don't know who built the bridge, but it wasn't us, so, and
Some
it,
people do locally, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, but it
Yeah.
wasn't us. So,
Yeah.
Mary Faith, I should have told you, I have a 4 o'clock hard stop today, and
Okay.
I know we have an executive session.
we do, it's true. Is there anything else you want to say right now?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Much for
Yeah,
having
yeah.
us.
I think you've given us
Thank you.
some marching orders, things we can do to maybe push things
Yeah.
Yeah.
forward here. You've offered some good solutions. I hope you'll think about this.
Absolutely.
We can keep the
I
conversation.
will get you
Yeah.
a bullet list this week.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, by the end of the month would be great, but that's even better.
Well, it's kind of already there. And I will go down and apply for the tax number.
I think that's a good first step in any event. And I noticed none of you have Nike shoes, so Phil Knight and his checkbook are probably out. So
I thought about that too.
that's a possibility, but
Yeah.
They were gonna give us money once before, and then I don't know what happened.
that could work too. I think what was said about making a list of priorities makes a great deal of sense, and you can work with Rachel, and then maybe something can happen.
Who in your group would like to be the point person for us?
It's Jay.
Okay, and you have Jay's contact info? Okay, all right, terrific, so nice to see you
so
all.
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you guys
here.
very much.
Thank you.
What are we thinking of, so I can tell people in the community, because we will hold another community meeting. What can we tell people in the community as far as progress? When can we expect possible information coming through? Like next year or?
I would tell them you're submitting, items to be funded through the county budget process to come out of TLT, and funding would not be available until at least after July 1st.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And thanks for coming in person. It's nice to see you all.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Good luck
Yeah,
on your
thank you.
next meeting.
Thank you.
Back for the other
Oh, yeah. These guys, you want those?
I don't know if they have that.
Thank you. Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you.
Oh, and Rachel, the reason with that grant wasn't complete was I'm sorry for misunderstanding. I wasn't wanting you to sign off. I was wanting you just to peruse it. Another set of eyes to make sure that I covered all the bullet points in the grant, and then I had the rest of it sitting at home.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, yeah, I knew that, but I wanted the numbers too. Thank you for doing that, Marcy.
Nice to meet you, Jay.
Nice to meet you, all of you. Gosh.
Take care.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm gonna fill my teacup while we keep going.
Would you mind, may I have a glass of water? Absolutely. Since you're there. So shall we start this executive session?
Chris? Joel, have you been communicating with Chris about the executive session?
I have, and they're already logged into it, I believe.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, I have the statute if you'd like.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Doug, you need something while I'm up?
You could add a little more water, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be going into executive session under ORS 192-660 sub 2H to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Is there any members of the media in the room?
No,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
In that case, Madam Chair, I'll just jump off of here and jump into the executive session teams.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll recess the board briefing at 3:04 in order to go into executive session.
As I recall, they've limited the funding sources
Yeah,
greatly and,
yeah, just the broadband, which.
yeah,
probably-
yeah.
Except for a Tillamook Lightwave. I'll brief Tillamook Lightwave on this as well. We might submit to the Reconnect, a different project, but the Lightwave board can talk about if we wanna submit to the House when that guidance comes out, so.
Okay.
Just wanna make sure.
So
All
when
right.
you guys are in Washington, why don't you fix that,
Yeah.
kind of
Okay, sure, yeah, we'll run over and
Yeah.
see if we can't take care of that.
get all over that.
Yeah, take care of the BIOP too while you're.
Yeah, we will. We'll fix both of those, so.
Okay,
So I have a
so
question. Senator Wyden is here
Saturday.
Saturday. Is there anything the county, any of us need to be there or do anything? Or I know one time you introduced them or something or.
I'll
well,
be there. Ree called me and asked me to host or stand
Okay.
up and introduce him,
Okay,
so I'm willing
I
to.
may not be there, but I'm sure that it'll go forward.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, do we have anything else for the board briefing?
I had a few things, but they're nothing,
Debbie had an item.
nothing too
Were you
urgent.
gonna present your item, Debbie? You still want me to? I thought it was an important.
Okay. You can come up, come join us.
And I apologize, I have a 4 o'clock, Debbie, so I may have to follow up with you after this.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm here regarding Oregon Department of Forestry's District Forester Kate Skinner's request to have several meetings with the BOCC throughout the year. And we have scheduled, besides today's, 3 additional ones. She's also asking to do a half-day forest tour either in June or September. And whichever works best for you, and that's what I'm here, hoping for some guidance and direction on. And then whichever of those months that the tour is not in, then we'll do an additional meeting.
Okay.
And she has several topics that she's listed that I could share with you later, or.
Well, I'd love to do a tour. So should we just look at half day? We should just look at our
Yeah, she's just
calendars
yeah.
and figure out, okay,
I was thinking board briefing time.
Wednesday afternoon, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would encourage to maybe look at September.
September, okay.
I think I will be gone for at least a week in June and maybe 2 weeks if all goes according to plan for my vacation.
Nice. I'll be gone the first week in September, so after that.
Okay.
Well, there's enough daylight in September and the weather should be good, so.
Probably better than June.
Yeah, more likely maybe to have a dry day in September than June.
Okay, true. Okay,
I don't know, rain gear's good.
It was easy.
done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I didn't officially say that the executive session was adjourned, but it was adjourned at 3:55. And do we have anything else for the board briefing? Doug? You got 2 minutes.
Okay, okay, well, let's see, talked about, I guess I'll just mention again, a conversation we had the other day, and I had a separate one with Jody about the individual who manages our retirement system, and I believe she's preparing or in the process of starting an RFP to go out and at least test the market again. So do we want to talk about that more, or let that roll forward, or is this not the right forum to take that up?
I heard what you said about having a workshop with John and having him tell us more about what he
And
does.
Millman and the
Sure,
people.
I think that'd be fine. I have always had confidence in John, and but I'm also trust your judgment. So when I heard you say that, I thought, well, yeah, let's learn more. I mean, it's never a bad idea to learn more.
Okay, well, her approach, Jody's, was to go ahead and publish an RFP and see who responds, and then have an in-depth conversation with the different ones through an interview process. And that's not a bad approach either, but just from my experience, when somebody does something and it's been doing it for 20 years, sometimes I think we have an obligation to the public and our staff to test the market. Not meaning that he may very well end up again with the contract and keep right on going, but it never hurts to look at the world and see what's changed and what's going on. So
Sure, okay,
maybe there's a combination that we can do both. I'll just work with her, and if
okay,
that's okay then. And
yeah.
no, other than that, I think we're good.
I wasn't literally limiting you to 2 minutes. I don't know if these guys have to go, but I don't.
You don't, no, we'll, no, there was, we all got an message from a citizen about changing one of our Tuesday morning calls to evening to accommodate other people who can't do that. And I do know a lot of groups that meet during the day specifically have an evening meeting, or they change the location, or those kinds of things. Is that something that's ever been considered around the county? Or, and I'm not saying we react to this one individual, but maybe it's not an unreasonable idea. On the other hand, the logistics of bringing in the outsiders that we do, maybe that's not a practical way forward. I don't know.
I don't think we've talked about it with the community updates call. We've certainly talked about it a lot with the board meeting. And I thought we were headed toward, a long time ago, the board used to have a quarterly meeting, like one in South County in the evening in the winter, and one in North County, but not in the last 5 years, not since I've been on the board. And we were talking about it, and then we hit COVID, and then things went more remote, and going more remote granted a lot more access.
It did.
So it really solved a lot of problems, because people can join us from all over the place now who didn't used to be able to. So I don't think we've talked about changing the time of the community updates call to evening. We have moved it like the morning, the actual day. I think we moved it in the long session because Senator Johnson couldn't join us on the day that we had it previously. But, we could talk about having it in the evening. But the thing about the community updates call is that we started it during COVID with professionals who had updates for the community. So all of those people are in their work day. It's a work day. So I don't know and also I don't know about KTIL. but, you know, we could talk
Well,
about
the
it.
other thing, I believe it's recorded and available,
It totally is.
so.
And
so
people are
it's-
listening to the podcast.
Yeah, then, so maybe that's the answer there, and I don't necessarily would, not planning to respond to this individual, it was just an idea.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. I hadn't thought about the podcast, but it is accessed. Maria told me that people are listening to the podcast. And because the Tuesday morning call is not interactive, they may as well listen to the podcast because if it's listen only anyway. So I think that's a good answer. I'm glad you thought of it.
All right, no, that's all, thank you, that's.
Okay. John, anything for you?
No.
Okay.
I'll wait till next week.
All right.
It's nothing pressing, how's that?
Okay. Did you send out budget sheets yet? No?
I haven't sent yours out, because I figured I'd probably need to get with you, so you.
That'd be
could
great.
see what-
We can make an appointment. Yeah, that'd be great. I was looking for it, but I'd be very happy to go over it together.
I will send them out to you, you can look at them, if
Okay.
you're gonna come out running down screaming,
I'm sure I will. Okay. Rachel, anything for you? Okay. Well, then we can adjourn this meeting at 2:04 PM. I do have a question for you, Sean. You know, there's that whole snafu with the Parks trucks. I don't know if you're, Chris, at one point, Chris said that he would buy the 550. We bought a 550, it's bigger than what we need. At one point, Chris said he would buy the 550 from us because he could use it. However, he changed his mind because it's two-wheel drive, so he doesn't want it. So now we have the 550 coming and 3 150s. So in our staff meeting, park staff meeting yesterday, I talked to the guys about it. They said they might